Hey guys, D.Bowie here, and these are the 5 things that I learned with Dendi's Drow Ranger. 1. Position your camera where action is happening. Check this clip. He just died and he's walking towards the lane to farm it. See how his camera is positioned on the lane the entire time? Usually, people think that by looking at the minimap, they can always be sure that there is no risk associated in going to that place. But what if Dire is smoked and Dazzle heals the creep wave? Nothing will show on the minimap. Or what if Oracle is hidden in the fog and just uses his nuke to last hit a creep? Any of these things would be a good indicator that going that far away by himself is not safe, so I really like what he does here and I should actually try to do more of this stuff myself. While he farms the ancients, check his camera positioning, scanning all the area around him. He's very strong at this point and the ancients barely tickle him, so there's no need to keep the camera in the ancients all the time. And by doing that he spots the Sand King going through the stairs and reacts in time to run. He does fall in the end, but since Dire had to chase him so deep into the Radiant side of the map, they do pay a heavier price for it, be it wasting time not taking objectives after the kill, having to go back to base after the engagement and stuff like that. While he was farming the large camp close to the Ancients, a small engagement starts and check his camera while he goes there. He's 99% of the time focused on what's happening in the fight and not what's around him. And even though no one dies, he actually spots the mid-tier 1 tower almost dead and gets a deny that maybe wouldn't be possible if he kept farming or going to the fight with the camera centered around him. When he's pushing this tower by actually centering the camera as far as the fog goes, he's able to see the Legion commander TPing, and that allows Dendi to bait him. Check how he stays in the lane while the Legion is obviously around, and with a double damage rune, but he probably told the Tinker that and the bait is successful. After that, a lot of people would either retreat or keep farming with the camera centered around them, but he goes way past his hero, spots everyone TPing, and that allows him to help the Tinker ASAP. Even though the Tinker dies, they get a Husker kill in the end. Two. Don't try to ignore really aggressive games when you're not playing a hardcore farmer. A lot of carriers get pretty mad when they have a bad laning phase. More often than not we get that perfect CS lane or at least close to it, and when a lot of aggression happens, some players just tend to tilt or don't know what to do. Instead of just pinging the Night Stalker for getting caught, he shows up. Drow can't flash farm like a Sven, a Luna, Anti-Mage, and if the enemy team wants to be really aggressive, it's better to sacrifice a little bit of farm, but play close to your allies. Dendi never stopped farming, but he was always close to the action. A lot of people get these two very different types of mindsets. They are either farming all the time as efficiently as possible, or they are fighting all the time without farming in between enemy deaths. They go back to base after a fight where the entire enemy team died when it was definitely possible to farm the map without being afraid. In this game, we can see that Dendi is capable of being an asset to his team, even if his help is not enough to save someone, or just get a kill, while at the same time at least he's farming different areas of the map, even if not as effectively and efficient as possible. That could be very different obviously if he was playing a hero suited to AFK farm and split push, but considering this game and then this overall farm, I think his decision is better. 3. Think outside the box. More region, different items, different skill build. In this game, Dendi is against a dual lane of Sand King and Dazzle, and while it may seem like a fine lane for the Drow Ranger, it is not. Since the Sand King has the Dazzle, he can push the lane against the Drow, and that hinders her farm significantly, since she has a slow attack animation and average damage at level 1. As level progresses, not only the Sand King can push the wave against the Drow, but he has more initiation range to harass her. So, with that said, what does Dendi do here to improve his situation? Well, first of all, he gets the second point in Frost Arrows before the Aura, which is usually the standard choice in uncontested lanes, and that actually gives them 2 kills when the Night Stalker rotates. You might be wondering that the Silence could be a better choice, but Sand King's stun animation is so fast that she would rarely be able to stop him. Also, the Dazzle had heal and poison touch at level 2, which meant that the silence wouldn't be that great since you usually want the silence to cancel the grave. So the level 2 slow not only is better in keeping the Sand King away from her, but to chase him as well.
Dire's middle tower is under attack.
Another important change he makes is getting another Wraith Band and bring more regen. The usual build is always getting Threads into Dragonlance, but he wasn't close to getting Threads, and at that time the gold he had would be better spent getting the cost-effective Wraith Band and Tangles, since a lot of clashes were taking place. And now that the Dazzle has more levels, check how he learns the silence at level 5 and uses it to prevent the grave from being cast. This topic is getting big, but how many times did you brought clarities to a Drow Ranger in a lane? A lot of people would either go back to base or insist in staying in that lane and dying without mana to silence or to slow someone, and they would eventually die. Not only he brings the clarity, but he also brings infused raindrops. They are pretty good against the Sand King stun, and the mana regen also helps him, since the frost arrows are the key for him to go aggressive and retreat in the lane. And thanks to the raindrops and the clarity regen, they get 2 kills again. The frost arrows are so important in this lane that he even gets level 3 at level 7, keeping only 2 points in the aura. The Quelling Blade definitely helps last hitting under the tower, since the Sand King shoves the wave really fast. I already talked about that, but Drow is way more experience dependent than item dependent, especially when you have a team full of ranged heroes. Even though a lot of fights happened there, Dendi never went back to base because he would rather spend gold to get more experience. In the end, most of the time you actually think you're saving gold by going back to base, but a lane of creeps is worth more gold than a salve, and you keep the experience from it, while at the same time saving the gold and the cooldown of a TP scroll. Of course, there are heroes that are better going back to base, and sometimes you just have to retreat. But keep in mind that you don't need to go to base as often as you think you do. 4. Fighting with Drow. Check this fight for instance. I'm not even going to mention his camera position because that's an entire topic I already talked about, but see how he doesn't keep attacking the Dazzle? If he was just right clicking him, he would have followed the Dazzle through that same spot, and that would mean he would take damage from the Sand King. He's always in control of the pathing his hero is taking, to position himself away from enemies. With post level 6 Drow, that's ridiculously important, because you want to have your ult working at all times. And thanks to the level 3 Frost arrows, they get the Sand King in the end as well. And just to reiterate a point I already made, he brings more clarities, so he never has to go back to base, and he has always means of chasing and getting away from people. By having mana to spam the frost arrows and silence, they can almost always guarantee kills with the SD and Night Stalker. 5. Respect situations or stuff out of your control. In this clip, Dendi senses that the Husker is in the Roshan pit, and it takes some time for the Tinker to reach the location. It's not uncommon for players to get frustrated with his team not reacting fast enough. What would Dendi achieve if he walked into the pit? The odds are definitely Husker favored, especially with the Oracle in the high ground. If he was playing a hero like Ember Spirit or any other mobile core, he could have checked the pit for the team. It's pretty cool to see that he takes the time to walk there and try to mobilize his team, but they don't overcommit. The Tinker tries to spam March, but it's too late and they disengage. Hey guys, this is it for today. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up. If you want to see more replays breakdowns, check the link in the description. If you're new to my channel, please subscribe to it. I'm making videos like this almost every day, and I'm sure something here will spark your interest. Bye guys.
But against the Timbersaw it's very easy to die if you're low HP, and I think he didn't brought a salve because after spending 700 gold in bottle, he wants to make full use of it. The Elder Titan was waiting for a good chance on killing the Timber, and I think Wrestle misplayed here. He uses the Searing Chains to guarantee that the stomp will hit, but the Timbersaw was not mid-animation for the Timber Chain, and he was seriously on top of the Spirit, so there's no way he dodges the stomp. By using the chains at that time, the Timber manages to run away. They do bait a lot of reaction from TNC, but they could have both lured them as well as got the kill. Oftentimes I refer to stacking and pulling the large camp like Resolution does here as a means to reset the creep equilibrium, and while that's true, doing this especially at this specific time frame has hidden reasons. Well, Timbersaw at this stage of the game can annoy the Ember a lot.